Exponent rules. Key to exponent rules is you have to have the same base. Okay, you got to have the same base, which we do here. We have m. And when I multiply two numbers with the same base, I actually add their exponents. So 2 plus 3 gives me m to the 5th. When you have an exponent raised to another exponent, a power to a power, you don't add them, you multiply them. So this is going to give me m to the 12th power. Over here I have m to the 10th power divided by m squared. Similar to above where when I multiplied them, I added them. Here I'm going to subtract them. And kind of similar, again, I'm going to subtract them. 2 minus 6. This time I get a negative number. We don't like having negative exponents, so what we do is we move it into our denominator because it's getting smaller. So when our denominator gets bigger, our number gets smaller. So that's one way we show negative exponents. Turning a percent into a decimal, what we have to do is we have to take our percent and we have to divide it by 100, which essentially takes 30 and moves our decimal place 2 spots to the left. So my answer is 0.30. This 0 actually drops off and we can just say it is 0.3. 0.3, this 3 is in the tenths place. So when I turn this into a fraction, it's going to be 3 over 10. Fraction to decimal to percent. So again, my fraction is 67 100ths. When I do that, 67 divided by 100, I'm going to get 0.67. And then to get a decimal to a percent, it's the opposite of what we did before. We got to multiply it, which moves my decimal 2 spots over and gives me 67%. Least common multiple, 8 and 14, 3a squared b to the, let's focus on 8 and 14. So this is where we want to find out what's our least common multiple. Multiples mean 8 times 1, 8 times 2, 8 times 3, 4, 5. Or you can think about it as adding 8 each time. 14, we've got 14, 28, looks like 42, 56. Oh, I think we got a winner. We have 56 and 56. So the LCM of these two numbers is 56. 3a squared b to the 4th and 4ab squared. 3a squared b to the 4th. Okay, so first, again, similar to before in GCFs, I got to find each of these numbers. So I got to find the least common multiple of 3 and 4 of a squared and a. And I got to find b to the 4th and b squared. So 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. Let's see if that's enough. 4, 8, 12. There we go. We've got 12 and 12. A squared, a to the 4th, a to the 6th, a to the 8th. Over here I've got a squared, a to the 3rd, a to the 4th. Remember, we're looking for the least, the smallest. So in this case, it would be a squared. And b to the 4th, b to the 4th, b to the 8th, b to the 12th. B squared, b to the 4th, b to the 6th, b to the 8th. I see I've got b to the 4th and b to the 4th. So my least common multiple is going to be 12 a squared b to the 4th. Fractions. Adding fractions, the key is you have to have the common denominator. So I'm going to focus on my whole numbers, and then I'm going to focus on my fractions. So the whole numbers you've been doing for a long time. 4 plus 2. Okay, so again, 4 plus 2. I know my answer potentially could have a 6. And then 1/2 plus 2/3. So again, I got to figure out what is the least common multiple of 2 and 3. It's actually 6. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply the top by 3 and the bottom by 3 so that I get 3/6. And then on my other side, I'm going to multiply the top and the bottom by 2. So this is going to be 4/6. So when I complete this, I see that I get 7/6. Well, 7 is bigger than 6, so I need to take out a whole unit of 6, which leaves me with 1 and 1/6. So finally, I'm going to go back over here, and I'm going to say, all right, plus 1 and 1/6, that's going to give me 7 and 1/6 as an answer. Subtracting, same deal. I need to get a common denominator. On this one, I notice, hey, all I have to do, because 5 can get to 10, is I just have to multiply this side by 2 and this side by 2. So I'm going to rewrite it as 9/10 minus 6/10, which gives me 3/10. So my answer is going to be 3/10. 3/7 times 2.5. So for multiplying, you don't necessarily need a common denominator, but we've got a whole number and a fraction. So how we want to turn this into a mixed number is by taking our big number and we're going to multiply by our base and we're going to add the numerator. So let me explain. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 plus 1 is 5. So I'm going to rewrite it as 3/7 times 5/4. I look to see if I can simplify anything. I can't. 3 times 5 is 15. 7 times 4 is 28. So I get an answer of 15/28. And last but not least, when we divide fractions, we use this idea called multiply by the reciprocal. And that really means keep, change, flip. So I'm going to keep my first term the same. I'm going to change the division to multiplication, and I'm going to flip my numerator and my denominator. So 10/12, change division to multiplication, and flip 6/2. Now I could multiply this, but I see I can simplify some stuff. So I have 10 and 2. I'm looking across here. I see 10 and 2. I'm going to divide out a factor of 2 and make this 5 and this a 1. And then when I look over here, I say, all right, I've got 6 and 2. I'm going to divide by 2 and make this a 1. Divide by 2 and make this a 3. So when I rewrite it, I have 5/1 times 3/1, which is just going to give me 15. Proportions. The key to proportions are cross multiplying. So I got to take whatever I have and I got to cross multiply. That's how we're going to solve these. So 80 times C is 80C equals 60 times 68. 4,080. Again, I'm going to use a calculator to help me with these. How do I get C by itself? I have to divide by 80. So when I divide by 80, I get C is equal to 51. Same idea over here. Let's cross multiply, this time solving for B. So when I simplify, I get 29B equals 69 times 33, 2,277. Divide by 29 and get B is about, so we didn't get a whole number, let's say 7.51. Scale scale map problem. All right, a map has a scale of 3 inches to 9 miles. If two cities are 7 inches apart on the map, how far away are they in real life? So again, if this is city A and this is city B, they're saying that this is 7.5 inches. So what I need to do is I need to figure out how many miles are in 1 inch. So I say, all right, well, if there's 3 inches in 9 miles, I could say, all right, let's do 9 miles divided by 3 inches and get 3 miles for every 1 inch. Now I have to take this number that I just figured out and multiply it by how many inches I have. So 3 times 7.5, I changed it to a decimal, and we get 22.5. So the answer is going to be, again, check your units, 22.5 inches. Looking at price per unit, finding out, hey, what's a better deal? I got to figure out what it costs for 1 unit, or figure out how many units do I get for the same amount of dollars. So in this case, for company 1, it's $300 for 3, I don't know, sneakers, 3 pairs of shoes, iPads, whatever you want to call them. And we're going to say, all right, so to figure this out, I want to figure out what's it cost for 1 unit. 300 divided by 3, that's going to give me $100. Company 2 costs $450 for 5 of them. So I take 450 divided by 5 and find out, hey, that one's actually $90 per unit. And company 3 is $90 for 1. So I didn't even have to do anything there. So actually, company 2 and company 3 are the same deal. It just depends. Do you want 1 or do you want 5? Because either way, you're going to spend $90 per unit. And last but not least, we talked about markups and discounts, where we always start with 100%. There's a couple ways, again, to think about it. So first I want to find, all right, what's 15% of $50? So I turn 15% into a decimal, which is 0.15. And then I'm going to take 50 and multiply it by 0.15, which gives me, again, please use your calculator. Let's call this 7.5 or 750 because we're using money. And then I'm going to say, all right, if the selling price, what am I going to sell it at? I got to not just figure out the discount. I got to take my regular price, which was $50, subtract my discount, which is going to give me $42.50. So the selling price for this product would be $42.50. A markup tells me I have to multiply, or I have to increase the price. And so let's solve this one a slightly different way. Again, we always start with 100%. I'm going to mark it up 25%, which gives me 125%. Now I turn 125% into a decimal, and I get 1.25. And now I'm going to take 60 multiplied by 1.25 and get $75. So this one had a markup of $15, which gave me a total selling price of $75.